Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back in to Mining Stock Daily, and we're going to kick off this week's corporate updates, heading up to the Abitibi with Abitibi Metals, trading on the CSE with the symbol AMQ, and on the OTCQB with AMQFF. A number of important updates to get a corporate editorial in from CEO Mr. Jon Deluce here, including a new financing with a strategic investor, and then also some land consolidation here around the B26 deposit. So, John, it's been a little while. I think last time we connected was Beaver Creek maybe last year, but it's good to see you. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Lot has played out since Beaver Creek.
Yes, it has. It's been an eventful market and obviously an eventful number of headlines for the company here. But let's start straight from the top here, John, with the latest, and that is, like I mentioned, establishing and consolidating the district scale area around the B26 deposit. What changes now from a strategic standpoint that maybe wasn't possible when the project was still just under that joint ownership?
Yeah, I think one of the key things that you've rightfully pointed out is the significance of the 20% remaining purchase of B26 in addition to the ROFR on Carhill and Wackasick. And the fact that we've completed our 7-year obligation with SOQUEM well ahead of schedule, and upon closing we'll own 100% of B26. And I think that's part of what has attracted quality shareholders, including the strategic investment from Discovery Silver. Looking at B26 now, 25 million ton combined deposit, but also it's within a district that hosted the Selbaie mine, which was 60 million tons, and the Quebec government has made a new standalone discovery at Wackasick. They drilled 18,000 meters there last winter. We see that as a very strong standalone potential resource stage project that could feed into a central development in the camp that feeds a central mill, with the flagship asset being B26, but complemented by other assets in the surrounding camp. And I think that's what comes together to produce a tier 1 district, and something that the majors are really fighting for. And we've seen as early as the takeover of Foran Mining by Eldorado, a similar polymetallic story, built a district, built a long life asset, and saw a very significant valuation to pair that with Eldorado taking over the company that wasn't in the cap table prior to that. So I think it's a part of the puzzle of why we think that there's a lot of value still to come from B26 and all that we have in store at Abitibi Metals.
John, can you walk us through the makings of the deal? What's involved? What are the deliverables with SOQUEM to get that through the line?
So the payment on closing is $5 million cash minus the amount that SOQUEM owes us under the joint venture agreement between when the 80% exercise was completed earlier in the year and where their expenditures are owed today. So we estimate the net payment after their audit to be about $3.2 million and a share issuance of $2 million. So net estimating about $5.2 million of overall consideration. There's 2 milestone payments. So upon closing of that initial payment, they'll transfer the remaining 20%. We'll have 100% ownership. And then the next milestone payment is $6 million, up to 50% payable in shares, the balance in cash. And that would be on feasibility study within 3 years of closing. And the final $6 million would be again split between shares and cash, but that would be within 5 years and the decision to commence to commercial production. So I think we've been able to balance the milestones. As part of that consideration, besides the 20% purchase, we are able to cut the royalty in half, reducing to a net royalty of 1%, which is very clean on a deposit of this size and scale. But an important development as well is that this came with the ROFR on both Wackasick and Carhill for a 10-year period, which I think cements our view of being the logical consolidator of additional government assets within the camp, of which SOQUEM has done an amazing job in building up what is both early stage and advanced stage exploration targets that I think will complement B26 very well. So we don't have a deal done there as of today, but we have the ROFR, we have a technical committee. We're starting to run joint met tests between B26 and Wackasick to understand how a development case could fit between both projects. So I think we've made good progress, and we look forward to hopefully cementing further developments on the partnership over the remainder of the year.
So, assembling a much larger land position through this across that Selbaie camp. So maybe talk about, obviously B26 appears to continue to be the centered focus for your company, but it appears you're also at the same time building more of a broader district scale exploration development platform. So how does Abitibi Metals kind of attack the larger scale story here outside of just B26? And what's like the first things that need to be done? You mentioned the metallurgical test work with your friends and partners, but really from the drill bit and exploration showing scale, what's your first point of attack there?
I think our focus for the foreseeable future remains on B26. We still see a significant amount of growth potential there from the combined 25 million tons today up to a targeted 40 to 45 million tons. Between our ongoing drill program, the leverage of lower grade and our resource in February being done at very conservative commodity prices, including $2,500 gold, combined with also doing additional testing around the geotechnical and the met testing and density. So we still see B26 as having the potential to be a Selbaie size deposit on its own. But I think what the leverage of the camp does for us is it takes a great project at B26 and turns that into a world-class camp with leverage of how this could go to becoming a potential camp of 50 to 75 to 100 million ton potential. So the steps above and beyond B26 are still to be determined. We have the technical committee with our government partners where we will continue to develop the two assets in parallel. As part of that, we will continue to work towards structuring an option agreement that is able to cement our exact entry into both projects, which is still to be determined. But it is supported by the fact that we do have the ROFR in place. And I can't speak on the government's behalf, but their interest in their alignment of this being the camp developed to create jobs and value for the province. So everything aligns with what we're trying to do with the company. But again, how are we positioned to tackle those objectives? We have $45 million in the treasury. We have a world-class shareholder base, a good amount of which have made a lot of money off of forehand mining that see the parallels to what we're doing at B26, fully funded within our plans at B26 and then some out to 2028. So we do have the treasury to deliver on our goals at both B26 and larger goals amongst the camp as a whole.
You did publish new drill results earlier at the end of May here, which actually expands B26 and the down plunge. The key highlight holes there was hole 378 W1, 46.7 meters, 1.5% copper equivalent, and in there was 14 meters, just over 4% copper equivalent. So really nice hit no matter where you're at in the world drilling for copper. But as you understand more from the drilling, do your expectations for potential scale for B26 continue to expand bigger and bigger? Are you kind of seeing diamond eyes here, or do you have kind of an idea of if B26 can get to a specific size, that would be a goal. Like, how are you kind of approaching, the scalability of this deposit?
I think we believe, and I think this will be supported through a PEA in 2027. We believe that we're already at a
Mm.
critical mass level, given the size of B26, given the continuity, given the tonnage per vertical meter, the distribution of grade. We're confident that this is an asset that has critical mass. But our goal is to deliver something that is really world class. And I think the drill results, as you mentioned in May, that's a good example of our resource improvement drilling delivering. That was a hole that was targeted within the model, tracing the western down plunge up dip, and within the 2026 block model had 1.5% stated. That we've been able to more than double the grade and expand the thickness of the zone. So it's a good example of leverage within the existing system in areas that the existing resource can be improved. And in April, we again delivered on our expansional goal, which intercepted 2.71% over 7 meters within 1.8 over 15, once again having a notable gold credit. That was a 150-meter step out at depth, and which is a significant step out. So again, the deposit is delivering on multiple objectives, extensions, clear down dip extensions of the deposit in brand new areas, but also our goal of improving what from within the resource. So I think we still do not know where the boundaries of this deposit is. You look at Foran and McIlvany Bay drilling that down dip, and they, as a result of drilling well outside of the deposit with holes targeted for geophysics, they hit the Tesla zone that was offset but down dip of the main deposit that didn't have any superficial footprint above 750 meters vertical. So it's a good example on how there could be very large extensions of systems like this, that as a result of the strength of this system and that this is open. So I think to answer your question, we don't know the limitations of the system. We have the support of the scale and size of the nearby Selbaie mine, and we look forward to continuing to drill this out within a fully funded 80,000 meter drill program that spreads across 2026 and 2027.
So, John, other than the scalability of this deposit, geologically speaking, I mean, what are some of those overhanging questions you and the team are yet to fully comprehend or understand? What, is there something about the model itself that needs to be kind of found out, or any other overhanging questions? Or do you feel like you've felt that this thing's unlocked and right now it's just a matter of putting some economics on it?
I think there's a few questions. In November, we delivered some really world-class drill results, up to 18% over 6.3 meters within 7 over 19.5. Very high gold credit. So is there a more massive source of the copper mineralization in line with those results? It's something that we continue to look for. We're also completing an MT survey over the deposit to look at if we're able to tell some of the deep feeding structures of the system. We continue to do downhole geophysics on all of the extensional holes to try to look, is there an off-hole larger conductor that hasn't been able to be picked up from surface geophysics? So I think there's a few questions to answer that remains what we're quite excited about is there a larger, more massive source of this mineralization? We see pockets of the deposit that are very gold rich. Does that truly run with the copper, or could there be an offset source of the gold? We now have a new principal geo that joined the company within the last month that is assigned full time to the geological model and being able to run through some of these key questions that we have and also the producers have of the project that could really help showcase the upside of of how this is a multi-commodity precious metal system. Also, there's been evidence of the fact that we've been able to extend the zinc silver lens a lot farther west than the historical drilling has indicated. I think that's a sign that there's more parallel lenses to be found at this project. So I think there's key questions on both the copper gold, the zinc silver, and then how much bigger could this be? Looking at how do we try to demonstrate that footprint ahead of just drilling this off? Can geophysics help showcase a much larger signature? So we're working on it from that angle as well.
Okay. Other important big news here as of recently, you have closed and raised over $30 million, which adds to, obviously, I think, can't remember what you said, $45 million total in the treasury right now. That came with a strategic investor from Discovery Silver. So congratulations on that. I was pretty excited to see Discovery Silver actually allocating some of their own capital. They've done a really good job up there, and obviously Tony McCooch is a mining legend and hero for many. So that's great. You're in good hands there, Jon. But really, how does this really transform your company from really just an Abitibi focused exploration company to somebody who can now be focused on success through development studies and economics?
It's a great question. I think it ties two things together. Stepping back for a second, with David Bernier joining the team in January after our last conversation, Dave is a proven mine builder. He was the chief operating officer at Foran for 4 years, building McIlvenny Bay from PFS through to commercial production, and growing the company from what was a couple hundred million market cap to over 3 billion during that process. So Dave is a great leader now at the company. He's really stepped up in a 6-month period to be really a leader and proven partner that I think will continue to add significant value to the company, but also complement what was already a strong exploration team led by Louis Garrity and our many team members that oversee exploration. But now we have the combined approach of both advancing exploration and development, which is what the producers want to see, along with de-risking it from a social and permitting standpoint. How does that tie into discovery? Is I think that's a combination that a producer wants to see. And I don't think we could have asked for a better strategic partner than Discovery Silver. Their track record across multiple companies, including Kirkland Lake Gold, their ability, even within Discovery, to take what was recognized assets early, acquire what was a Timmins district, and now leverage that to create over 10 times return for their shareholders, while showcasing a pipeline that could lead Discovery to being over 1 million ounce gold producer per year. So they are great contributors on a technical perspective. They have all of the expertise to complement our team in being able to de-risk and develop B26. And this is their first strategic investment since really they just acquired the Kid Creek mine from Glencore, long life VMS asset and concentration and processing facility in Timmins. So there's a lot of good fits there. And again, great partners. My family office has had prior success with Tony and team in the West Timmins camp, with my dad being on the board of Homer Gold and it being taken over by Lakeshore and developed into the West Timmins mine by Tony McCooch and Eric Callio. So we have had prior success with their team, and we're excited about what they're able to contribute and also validate to the market all of the things that are coming together at B26.
Yeah. No, it was great to see, the stories come together. Not only the stories, but the people involved with those stories come together once again here, Jon. So congratulations on that. Great stamp of approval, by the way. I think it was incredibly recognized by the market. But if we fast forward here next couple of months here, Jon, let's say you and I connect once again later this fall, what are some of those catalyst that you expect to be sharing with the market here in the coming months?
I think in the coming months, we have ongoing drill results. We have 3 rigs on site. If 4 and 5 become available, we are going to scale with more drills. There is a shortage in the industry at the current time. So if we're able to scale, we will. But we do have a large pipeline of results coming from 3 drills going right until Christmas and likely right through to the new year. During that time, we're also working on stage 2 met testing in addition to geotechnical results, which will feed into the PEA prep and delivery in 2027. Also during that time, we will work with our partners at SOQUEM in terms of our overall committee that is managing and looking at how all these projects in the B26 area fit together. Could we have developments on further progressing that partnership? That there's a potential to do that. Also, there's a potential that we consolidate additional ground outside of the SOQUEM partnership. So I think there is meaningful catalysts on the horizon over the short term and over the medium term, building up to an updated resource and PEA by the first quarter of 2027. So we're working hard on all fronts. But I think, again, we're well positioned. When we met in September, we were 35 million market cap. I was confident that the market was missing it. We're now at 175 million, 45 million in cash, and our share price is up over 3 times from our last conversation. So even at 35 million market cap, I saw the potential of this being a $1 billion company. But now saying that at 175 million market cap, I think it's more believable. And now it's what are the catalysts to support that pipeline of growth? And I think that's some of the key things that we're going to deliver over the next 6 months and year, because we see that potential, whether that's on B26, assembling what we think is a world-class camp, and how all that fits together in terms of economics in an environment that we are above $6 copper. And I think we will continue to see both a copper, gold, and silver market that is very strongly supported at a time that producers are, again, printing cash, looking for where they're going to have their next developments and exploration pipeline, which I think really positions us well.
Very good. All right, Jon, thanks so much for the update. Long overdue, but obviously heading in the right direction. And continue to be watching this news here in the coming weeks and months. Hopefully you and I do connect later this fall, and we'll talk about whatever those drill results may be in due course. But good to see you, good to connect, and thanks so much for your time.
Likewise, thanks very much.
Yep, Abitibi Metals trading on the CSE with the symbol AMQ and on the OTCQB with AMQFF. The information presented should not be considered investment advice. Mining Stock Daily and its affiliates are not responsible for any loss arising from any investment decision in connection with the material presented herein. Please do your own research or speak with a licensed financial representative before making any investment decisions.